Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular board meeting of the Rainbow District School Board for Tuesday, December the 5th. Just to remind everybody that we are live streamed, so I want to take the opportunity to welcome folks that are in the room, also folks that are joining us online today, and say good evening to all the trustees tonight. Starting off, the Rainbow District School Board would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and ancestral territories of the Anishinaabe, including the Tikamishing, Anishinaabe, and the Wanapitei First Nations. We would like to acknowledge that we are situated within the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850, and we want to recognize the inherent rights of the Anishinaabe who have maintained these lands from time immemorial. So if we can start off tonight with a roll call, please, Director Bourget.
Trustee Dabowski sends her regrets. Trustee Farrell.
Present.
Trustee Gibson.
Present.
Trustee Cosmerly.
Present.
Trustee McCauley.
Present.
Trustee Dewar.
Present.
Trustee Honda.
Present.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
Present.
Trustee Clement.
Present.
Student Trustee Green.
Present.
And Student Trustee Jacko Sywink.
Present.
Thank you very much, Director. Moving on to our first item.
Did I have a sound check? Did you hear me?
Trustee Dewar, we could hear you fine, and we've recorded you as present.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the agenda now. The first item of business is approval of the agenda. So we have a motion that the agenda of the regular board meeting of December 5th, 2023 be approved. We need a mover. Moved by Trustee Cosmerly and seconded by Trustee Honda. Any questions, comments, or changes? Seeing none, we can do a poll vote, please, Mr. Director. Director, please.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Honda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor.
Trustee McCauley.
In favor.
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
And Student Trustee Jacko Sywink.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director. Letter B on our agenda, preliminary declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we move on to our next item agenda, which is C, presentations. And I see that we have a very familiar face in the audience tonight, Director Bourget. I would love to hear the introductions. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. My introductions will be brief because I want you to hear from these outstanding individuals who are before us in the audience tonight. And for the trustees online, in the audience we have the LaSalle Senior Boys OFSA AA back-to-back champions who will speak to you tonight. When we last spoke, I did share a little bit about our success in the fall sports season. The Lockerbie Senior Boys volleyball team was bronze at single A OFSA. The Llewellyn Girls AA basketball team was antique bronze at OFSA. And tonight we get to hear from our back-to-back champions. Having said that, we want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and celebrate their success. To win one OFSA championship is a major milestone. To defend a title is even more difficult, and we certainly are in awe of their accomplishments, their dedication, and their hard work. And to their coach, we have endless thanks. As many of you know, Coach Beausoleil coaches at LaSalle, 2 teams at Cambrian College, of which he's been recognized as OCAA Coach of the Year for both teams, and at Northeastern Elementary School, where his team just qualified for the finals of the board championships. So certainly an accomplished and dedicated coach stands before us with some equally dedicated and talented athletes. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to the coach to begin sharing some of their team's season success.
Thank you, Mr. Bourget, and thank you for inviting us to the meeting and celebrate this amazing accomplishment. Winning back-to-back OFSA gold medals is truly an accomplishment that these young men will remember for the rest of their lives, as will I. Some of these young men, 5 of them, have now won 3 OFSA medals in a row. Of course, I am proud of their accomplishments on the court, but more importantly, I'm extremely proud of the incredible young men they have turned into. Kale, who has been playing for me since he was in grade 3, and 4 of the other boys since grade 4 and 5, I have witnessed the growth in their volleyball skill, but more importantly, the amazing character traits that they now possess. While at OFSA, this small team, in numbers, not in stature, was the most resilient team that I have ever had the privilege of coaching. The obstacles that this team faced this year, injury after injury after injury after sickness, after losing our first city final in 14 years to my brother's team. But the boys never quit. Their resilience and their persistence to be the best that they could be was seen at OFSA like I've never seen before. Each one of these players accepted their roles, whether it was a role to come in and serve, whether it was a role to come in and play defense. They accepted their roles and gelled as a team that I've never seen before. They believed in each other. They believed in what I had to set out for them, and they followed game plans. I wish some of my college teams would follow the game plan like these guys. And had an amazing run at OFSA, winning gold. More importantly, I am so proud of this group of boys in terms of the growth that they've had as young men, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the future. And luckily, I have 3 of them that are coming to play for me next year at Cambrian, and one of the other ones is going to play at another college, so it makes me very proud that they're continuing in volleyball, and some of them are still, well, some of them grade 10 and 11, so they'll be continuing on their volleyball career at LaSalle. So thank you very much for having us, and Ashton's going to say a couple words.
Hello, my name is Ashton Eady, and first off, on behalf of LaSalle Secondary Volleyball Team, I'd like to thank the board for having us here, and thank you to Mr. B for always an unforgettable season. I've been a part of Mr. B's volleyball team for at least 4 years now. Mr. B has taught me a lot of things over that time. He has taught me about responsibility, confidence, and most of all, dedication. Mr. B has not shown me, but our team, what it's like to have dedication. He has never once missed a practice out of the 4 years of me having him as a coach. Mr. B coaches Northeastern Elementary volleyball, boys and girls volleyball at Cambrian College, and our senior boys volleyball at LaSalle Secondary. If you couldn't tell, Mr. B has a very busy schedule, but he still makes time to show up and coach. Every practice, Mr. B was always ready to practice and teaches athletes the basics and proper fundamentals on how to be a volleyball player. My favorite thing about Mr. B coaching us was all the lessons and speeches he would give us in practice or before and after games would turn out to be real life lessons. I can say on everyone's behalf that Dale Bosley was an incredible coach. This past season, our team had a couple of ups and downs, like losing city finals and hearing everyone talk about how we wouldn't make it far enough to win OFSA again. But there we were in the finals at OFSA fighting for a gold medal. It was a tough game, but we pushed through and became back-to-back OFSA champions. We couldn't have done it without Mr. B, and I will never forget all the amigos we met on tournaments, memories we all shared, all the time we spent together made us feel like a family. And best of all, feeling the excitement we all shared together when winning OFSA back-to-back. Once again, thank you to Mr. B for being a huge role model and teaching me everything you have. I had an amazing time with this team and will never forget it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll open it up for any questions or comments from trustees. Trustee Cosmerly.
Just want to say congratulations. That's quite an achievement, and all of you deserve a really warm round of applause, and I'm sure we'll give that to you again later for all of your hard work. Thank you so much for all you've done. Take care.
Next, we have Trustee Corbier Addison.
I just want to extend our congratulations. That is a huge feat. 3 back-to-back OFSA medals is quite an achievement, and I don't know another team in the board that's done that, and I really congratulate you boys on your hard work.
Trustee, what's your name? Oh, Trustee McCauley.
I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to the coach and to all of the players. I am relatively new to the board, but I'm not new to the accomplishments of students in the secondary system. And I'm extremely proud because LaSalle is one of the schools that is within my jurisdiction as a trustee. So I'm extremely proud of all that you've done, and please continue the good work.
Superintendent McNamara.
I can't help myself. As the former principal to these fine young men, I think a testament to your coach and to your dedication is to when I walked by the gym and I could see you practicing, and there was intention there and there was respect for your coach. And I think you are truly the model of what a dedication to practice and your coach is to yourselves, first of all, your coach, your school, your families, and to all of us. And just proud is just such a small word, I should say, to what you've achieved. Congratulations.
Trustee Hunda.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. It's gonna be a little bit of repeat, but I want to congratulate you all. Dale, honestly, year after year, so many years I've seen you at tournaments, and your dedication is next to none. And it truly does make a difference to the trustees, this board, because without you, things like this would not happen. You did a wonderful job in your speech. I know that's hard, and it was really well done. And I think what touches my heart is I can see the camaraderie, the friendship there. I can see the respect you have for your coach, because you cannot get to a championship without it. And you to be commended. And as the grandma, I will answer. I tell you, we were rooting for you, and there was a lot of shouts and hoorays around my house when you guys won. So really, from even a personal level, and I can tell you, your school is very proud of you, and I'm very proud of you too.
Any other questions or comments for this wonderful group of, we have Trustee Clement online.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, Coach, and the team. When I hear winning, what I hear from the coach is not just about winning. It's about the roundness of the team, the way they've turned out as fine young men. And that's the real goal here, is teamwork and how you come out at the end. So congratulations to you all. It was a great accomplishment. Thank you.
Anyone further? So I will just add my congratulations to you also. It's amazing the work that you've done. I know how hard it is. You practice every day, and sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it doesn't go so well. There's injuries, there's ups, there's downs. People don't understand the mental component that you have to go through to be so successful. So we're really extremely proud of you. Dale, look, I've known you for years, and your dedication to sports, whether it was volleyball, basketball, I've seen it for years. What is so impressive on my part is that, and I hope everybody goes away with this, because Dale Beausoleil has influenced literally hundreds and hundreds of students in our community positively, and for that we should be eternally grateful for the work that you've done. So thank you so much, Dale, and I know that Director Bourget would like to say a few words also.
Gentlemen, there's not enough time to really say all the things that could be said, but we're very proud of you, and we congratulate you. Coach, I have a card I want to come over and shake your hand. Guys, it's sweet to win, but it's even more sweet to repeat. So I got a couple sweet treats for you, and I'm personally going to speak with your principal about providing you with a little lunch one day to celebrate, because when the season's over, sometimes you spend some time apart, but it'll be nice to come back maybe in a week or a month or whenever it's you see fit to just enjoy some lunch together, catch up with each other and reminisce. So I'm going to personally provide that through your principal. You can look forward to that. But Coach, I'm going to come shake your hand and provide this, and I think at this point we'd all like to just stand to applaud and recognize your accomplishments.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We just, for the short delay there as we said our goodbyes, and thank you to the team. Fantastic. It's just, it's absolutely emotional to see the work that's been done with these kids, so fantastic. So we'll move on with our agenda. We're at letter D now, and reports from closed meeting of the board, and I don't believe we have any tonight, Director. So that moves to section E, old business, and we have some previous minutes that we need to deal with. So first of all, the first motion that we have is that the minutes of the organizational board meeting held on Tuesday, November the 21st, 2023 be approved. So we'll need a mover for that. Trustee Cosmerly, good. And a seconder, please. And we have Trustee Dewar for a seconder. Any questions, comments, omissions, or anything in those? Seeing none, we can do a poll vote. Director, please.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor?
Trustee McCauley.
In favor?
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
Student Trustee Jacko Sywink.
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director. Moving on to Part B of previous minutes, we have another motion that states the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, November the 21st, 2023 be approved. So we'll need a mover. We have moved by Trustee Hunda and seconded by Trustee McCauley. Any questions, comments, omissions? Seeing none, we will move to the poll vote.
Trustee Clement.
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison.
In favor.
Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Farrell.
In favor?
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly.
In favor?
Trustee McCauley.
In favor?
Student Trustee Green.
In favor.
And Student Trustee Jacko Sywink.
In favor.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to reports and recommendation from board committees. Tonight we have a report from the Audit Committee, and I will turn the microphone over to the Chair of the Audit Committee, and that's Trustee Hunda.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. Good evening, and I'm very pleased tonight to present to you the 2022-2023 Audit Committee report. I'm not going to read. I understand you all received it. I hope you all take time to look through it. The Audit Committee has had a challenging year, as I'm sure you're all aware. We've had, a number of changes and a number of situations to overcome. But I'm very proud of the work that we've done. We were able to accomplish everything that we had set out to do and what we're required to do, so we met our mandate. And we had an audit committee meeting yesterday, and I'm proud to say that this report was passed unanimously, and we would be very proud to present it and to have you as a board accept it.
Thank you, Trustee Hunda. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move. So I'm sorry. I'm Trustee Gibson. I missed your hand. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a suggestion for the motion that it reads that the Audit Committee recommends the 2022-23 financial statements be approved. I'm not sure if it's my place to suggest an amendment when the time comes, or if perhaps you, the Chair, wanted to speak on that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Trustee Hunda.
Thank you, Chair Farrell, through you to Trustee Gibson. There isn't a motion. This is just every year we just present it. There will be a motion as we carry on, because after this we will have Derek D'Angelo from our auditors from KPMG will be coming forward to present that, which was also presented to the audit committee yesterday, and that's what the motion is, and then we'll take that then.
A supplementary, if I may. I'm just, so what you're saying is at the moment you're only talking about the annual report. Just to save time, I was referring to obviously B, because it's the financial statements. So I didn't realize, are you going to speak separately on that
So
now,
what's going to happen?
I thought your part was finished, and I thought...
Yeah, so Trustee, what's going to happen is that once we're finished with questions with Trustee Hunda, we will move to Superintendent Guilbeault, and then we'll have a presentation about the financial statements, and after that, the motion will be heard at that point in time. Okay?
So just before the motion's read, I wanted to make my suggestion just in case you wish to change it rather than, as I said, amendment. I'm not sure that that's my place.
Okay, thank you. Further questions for Trustee Hunda? Okay, seeing none, so we'll move to Superintendent Guilbeault to introduce the 2022-23 financial statements.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Derek D'Angelo, our audit partner, who will present the 2022-2023 financial statements on behalf of KPMG, following which we are happy to entertain any questions. So Derek, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Guilbeault. So thank you again for the opportunity to present the financial statements of the Rangeau District School Board for this year ended August 31st, 2023. As mentioned, the financial statements were reviewed by the Audit Committee on December 4th and were recommended to the Board for approval. During the course of the presentation, I'm going to provide an overview of the relevant points and any significant changes from 2022. And again, if there is any questions, please feel free to ask at any time, and I will do my best to answer. And if required, management will also add their comments. So if we can move to the independent auditor's report, please. So just to give you a sense on what the auditor's report encompasses. So there are 5 sections of the auditor's report. The first section of the independent auditor's report, which is the opinion section, identifies that the statements have been audited and gives our opinion on the accompanying financial statements. And we've given a clean or an unqualified opinion on the financial statements for the Rainbow District School Board for the year ended August 31st, 2023. The second section, the basis of opinion, just details the fact that the audit was conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and that we believe that we've accumulated enough audit evidence to provide a basis for our opinion. The third paragraph, or the emphasis of matter section for the financial reporting framework, describes the basis of accounting being used and highlights the differences between this basis and the Canadian public sector accounting standards. The fourth section, or the responsibilities of management and those charged with governance, describes the responsibilities of management in the preparation of the financial statements, and also describes that management is responsible to develop and maintain a system of internal control that is necessary to ensure that the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. And the final section of the auditor's report is the auditor's responsibilities section. This section describes that it is the auditor's responsibility to express an opinion on the financial statements based on the results of our audit. It's to ensure that the audit was conducted in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards, which require us to comply with ethical requirements and to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement, to obtain evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. We do use our professional judgment, including the assessment of risks, considering internal controls that are relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. We also evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policies used and the reasonableness of the accounting estimates made by management, and evaluate the overall presentation of the financial statements. One of the new notes to the financial statements this year, and I'll cover this first before we get into the main body of the financial statements, is Note 2. And if you want to move to Note 2, it's on page 11. And why I want to cover this one, I don't usually cover too much in the notes, but in this year, in Note 2, there are many new accounting policies or new accounting standards that were adopted as required. So this year we had 5 new accounting standards that were adopted. I'm going to quickly just highlight them. I'm not going to go through them in detail except for one. So we had PS 1201 for financial statement presentation, PS 2601 for foreign currency translation, PS 3041 for portfolio investments, PS 3450 on financial instruments, and PS 3280 for asset retirement obligations. And this is the biggest one that impacts the financial statements this year is the PS 3280 on AROs. This establishes the accounting and reporting requirements for legal obligations associated with retirement of tangible capital assets controlled by the boards. This standard was adopted on September 1st, 2022 on a modified retroactive basis, which required prior period restatement. When recording the asset retirement obligation, the estimated retirement costs are capitalized to the carrying value of the associated assets and amortized over the asset's estimated useful life. The amortization of the asset retirement costs follow the same method of amortization as the associated asset. A significant part of asset retirement obligations results from the removal and disposal of designated substances, such as asbestos, from board buildings. The board has used the most recent asbestos surveys provided by a third-party specialist to determine quantity of designated substances in board-owned facilities. These amounts were applied to a costing model, which was provided by the Ministry of Education, in which an experienced external consultant helped determine the unit rates on the model. The new standard also required the restatement of certain prior period balances based on a simplified approach. So that's the biggest change in the financial statements, and Note 2 does impact other notes, but not like PS 3280. So if you could turn please back to page 1, which is the consolidated statement of financial position. Thank you. The consolidated statement of financial position details the financial position of the board at a point in time, being August 31st, 2023, with the comparative balances for August 31st, 2022. It would include the cash resources of the board, the net debt position calculated as the difference between its financial assets and its financial liabilities, and then the non-financial assets such as prepaid expenses and tangible capital assets, as well as the accumulated surplus. Looking at the financial assets, for your cash balance at year end, the balance in the bank account was $10.2 million, down from $11.6 million in 2022. The change in cash balance is directly related to the results of operations for the year, capital activities, as well as activity in the accumulated surplus and reserves, which I will review a little later on. As mentioned, there was a new standard for financial instruments. So as we see the line that's called other investments, PS 3450 requires how investments are carried on the statements. The terminology has changed as of September 1st, 2022, and the terms temporary investments or investments have been discontinued. So other investments are comprised of GICs and they are recorded at amortized cost. Accounts receivable other, we can see that balance is around $35 million. This balance is mainly comprised of municipal tax revenue receivables, delayed grants receivables from the ministry, HST recoverable from the Government of Canada, and amounts owing from Indigenous Services Canada for students who are funded through the Jordan's Principal program. Starting in the 18-19 school year, the ministry introduced a cash management strategy whereby the ministry delayed a portion of the grant payment to school boards based on a set calculation. The delayed grant payment is included in the receivable from ministry and is approximately $17.4 million. For the accounts receivable for the approved capital funding, you can see it's decreased from $55 million to approximately $43 million. This is a receivable from the province based on how grants are paid to school boards for capital. The grants have been approved by the ministry and the board and are directly related to the debt incurred for capital construction. And a new line this year on the financial statements for assets held for sale. This amount of $1.4 million relates to 3 properties which are held for sale at August 31st, 2023. Since these properties are held for sale, they are reclassed from a non-financial asset to a financial asset at year-end. Looking at the financial liabilities, the 2022 amount, as you can see at $2.5 million, related to interim financing for construction costs for school improvement projects. The ministry funds the construction costs twice per year based on the actual expenses and also provides funding for interest. As of August 31st, 2023, there was no short-term borrowing at this time. However, on September 6, 2023, the board requested credit facilities in the amount of $3.5 million for various school spending on school condition improvements. The next financial liability is the accounts payable and accrued liabilities, and this has decreased slightly from $20.7 million to $20.5 million in 2022. The net long-term liabilities, there are semi-annual payments that were made, reducing the debt by approximately $2.3 million with the Ontario Financing Authority and the Royal Bank. The total long-term liabilities of $36.1 million are approved by the ministry and the board. There were 2 small new capital leases added to the long-term liabilities during the year, and they had a total debt value of approximately $240,000. The next line in the financial liabilities is deferred revenue. If you wouldn't mind switching to page 18, please. Thank you. So the deferred revenue consists of amounts received by the board that are restricted for specific purposes in accordance with the ministry guidelines. So looking at these amounts, for special education, of the approximately $7 million for special education, $3.8 million is allocated to be spent in the 23-24 year as per the approved plan. There was an increase in the special incidents portion, the special education per pupil amount, and the differentiated special education needs funding since the plan was approved. The pupil accommodation reserve of around $4 million, deferred revenue, of around $4 million was carried over and will be used on planned projects in 23-24. Student achievement decreased from 2.7 to 2.4 due to increased spending opportunities, and the balance is to be used in 23-24. As previously mentioned, the next line is assets held for sale. As previously mentioned, this is the value represents the 3 schools that were held for sale at year end. And The rules require that the value be reclassed from a deferred capital contribution to a deferred revenue when the assets are expected to be sold within the next fiscal period. Proceeds of disposition, there was a $1.2 million decrease in this deferred revenue balance, and there was the use of these proceeds for a new school building, and the remaining balance of approximately $40,000 is held for use on spending related to the administration building. And finally, in other, you can see a decrease from $807,000 to $163,000. And all of this really relates to guidance from the Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery of Ontario with regards to PPE for COVID. There was $610,000 included in our 22 balance related to the remaining inventory of PPE. All of it being PPE, HEPA units, rapid antigen tests. And this amount was all expended in 2023. The remaining balance in other relates to amounts deferred from external parties, approximately $26,000, and the Rural and Northern Education Fund of $123,000. These funds are allocated and planned to be utilized in 23-24. If we could turn back to page 1, please. The next line in the financial liabilities was the deferred capital contributions, and these include grants and contributions received that are used for the acquisition or development of tangible capital assets. There was a decrease of about $1 million, which is the net of deferred capital contribution additions of $19 million, offset by the revenue recognized in the period of $18.7 million, and as mentioned previously, the reclassification of $1.3 million into deferred revenue for the assets held for sale. The next line is the employee future benefits liability. And this is a detailed note. I'm not going to go through the note in detail. It's about 4 pages long in the financial statement. Just to give you a sense, this note provides details of the board's long-term obligation for retirement benefits, which are the future cost in today's dollars of retirement gratuities, the cost of having retirees on the board's benefit plans, and WSIB. These amounts are arrived at by actuaries. They use the employee demographics and information about the board's benefit plans to arrive at this future obligation as at August 31st, 2023. So accrued employee future benefit obligations decreased $964,000 in 2023 due to actuarial gains and benefits paid, offset by interest costs and current period benefit costs. And finally, the last financial liability is the asset retirement obligation. As I mentioned, this is one of the big changes to the statements. So this balance again reflects the asset retirement obligations for the board's tangible capital assets. Comparatively, these obligations have increased $5.7 million in 2023 due to inflation rate increases and new site-specific data received to determine the value to remove designated substances. So the majority of the value is due to the abatement of these designated substances, such as asbestos, and the remainder is due to the removal of fuel tanks and septic tanks. Looking at the inventory, as mentioned, the PPE was expensed during the year, so the board no longer has any material amounts of PPE on hand. The next non-financial asset is the prepaid expenses, and this relates to the timing of payments for secondary teachers' wages. In 2023, the 2023-2024 secondary teachers' first pay was paid on August 25th as per the collective agreement, and therefore recorded as a prepaid expense. Tangible capital assets have increased, And these are the non-financial assets of the board that are used to provide school services or for administrative purposes or for the maintenance and repair of other tangible capital assets. The total additions to capital assets was $25.2 million in 2023, offset by amortization or the accounting usage of those assets of $20.3 million. There was the transfer of the assets held for sale of $1.4 million and the revaluation for the asset retirement obligation of approximately $6.2 million. Therefore, the net increase of $9.7 million increased the net book value of tangible capital assets to $243 million. If we can turn to the next page, please. Thank you. So this is the consolidated statement of operations and accumulated surplus, and this provides information about the board's accountability for its operations and the related achievement of its objectives. The statement also reports the surplus or deficit from operations and measures the change in the board's accumulated surplus in the period. Looking at the revenues, again, going to talk on a high level here because there's a lot here. Total revenues have increased by $13.9 million, ending the year at $245 million. The increase is mainly comprised of the following. There was an increase in the grants for student needs of approximately $15.5 million. This is made up of many different pieces. So I'll go through some of them. There was approximately $5.3 million an increase as a result of enrollment, about a $1 million increase in transportation funding, $2.2 million in learning recovery or the COVID funding. In the prior year, this was included in other grants. $2.6 million was provided for additional Indigenous education, $3.2 million for special education revenue, $540,000 for school operations, and around $350,000 for increased mental health funding. The other revenues have gone down, mainly for two main reasons. There was a $7.5 million decrease in other government grants. As mentioned, last year there was $3.9 million of COVID support, and this is now being funded through the Grant for Student Needs. Also, because of the way we had to record our in-kind grants for PPE related to the pandemic, there was a $5.5 million decrease in these in-kind grants in 2023. Went from $6 million to about $600,000. There was a $1.4 million increase in the amortization of deferred capital contributions, as you can see. About a $1.4 million increase in other fees and revenues, around a $583,000 increase in investment income with the increase in interest rates during the year, and approximately a $2.4 million increase in school fundraising, with those fundraising now be able to be there for a full year with the pandemic ending. Looking at the expenses, we can see that expenses have increased from $229.8 million to $241.3 million, or an increase of $11.5 million. Again, just going through the high level of some of the increases. There was an increase in instructional costs of approximately $7 million. This is increased support for special education, additional staffing required to accommodate the increased enrollment, and additional opportunities for student achievement programs, for PD initiatives, and other school support. There was approximately a $430,000 increase in administrative expenses, ending the year at $5.8 million. There's an increase in transportation expenses of approximately $510,000, ending the year at 15.6. There was the increase in pupil accommodation from 41.3 to 45.4. This $4 million increase did include a $1.4 million cost for the demolition for AB Ellis in Espanola, as well as a $2.3 million increase in the amortization of our tangible capital assets. School generated funds expenses increased approximately $2.1 million. There were more activities, obviously, in 2023, as the prior year was still limited activities due to the pandemic. And finally, other expenses have decreased from $6 million to 3.3. As mentioned previously, there was that decrease in the in-kind funding from the ministry for the PPE. We had to record the revenue, but we then recorded the offsetting expense. So that change was around $5.4 million, which is obviously significantly lower. But there was an offset with some labor provision for some salaries at around $1.6 million and around $1 million for an arbitrated revenue award in relation to the Putting Students First Act. So at the end, we get here and we see that the total annual surplus is $4 million this year, up from $1.5 million last year. So finally, I would just like to cover note 20, which is accumulated surplus. That's on page 26. Thank you very much. So the main, again, as I mentioned, the accumulated surplus has increased in 2023 from $22.6 million to $26.6 million, or a $4 million increase. So just going through the main pieces of the change, there was a $5.5 million net increase in the reserves for committed capital, of which $5.7 million related to the related to New LaSalle Elementary School. Because of not having sold some of the surplus schools at August 31st, 2023, the ministry did allow the board to temporarily fund $3.2 million of these expenditures from the surplus until the sale proceeds are to be received. The ministry also approved $2.5 million of expenditures to be utilized from the board's surplus, and $300,000 was used from the opening surplus and $2.2 million used from in-year surplus. There was a $3.5 million reduction from the unappropriated operating accumulated opening surplus due to the capital spending, as mentioned above, for committed capital. There was a new available for compliance internally appropriated reserve of $750,000 for the LaSalle multi-use facility. This is the net between the operating revenue and expense, which is going to be put in a reserve to cover the future cost of the field or turf replacements and or any exterior structural work that needs to be dealt with in the future. Looking at some of the other amounts, there was a $336,000 net decrease in the reserves for student-focused initiatives, local priority funds, and school-based initiatives. There's a $1.4 million increase in the unavailable for compliance reserves for employee future benefits, and a $227,000 net increase in the other unavailable for compliance reserves. And just a reminder that the last two reserves mentioned are not available to balance the budget, as those reserves are externally appropriated. So this concludes my presentation of the financial statements, and more than willing to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, Derek. I'll look to trustees to see if there are any questions on Derek's presentation. I don't see any, so thank you very much, Derek, for your presentation. We very much appreciate it. Oh, sorry, we do have Trustee Hunda.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. I don't have a question. I would just like to make a comment. Derek, thank you very much. We are very thankful for our longtime partnership and for all the experience with the board that you bring to us when you make these presentations. And I thank you for that. It's been a long couple of days for you, I think, because you did make this presentation in a little bit greater fashion to the audit committee yesterday. So I want to thank you. I also would be remiss, I feel, if I didn't thank Superintendent Gilbo, and certainly our Manager of Finance, Nancy, and your team. And I want to thank you. There was a point at our audit committee meeting when we did ask staff to leave, and the trustees were able to, or the board members were able to ask Derek any questions, and we were very pleased to hear that we've had a lot of changes, and it's going terrifically well. He is very, very pleased with the relationship that he has with Nancy and her team, and I think we were very happy to see that we got the highest rate that is possible again, and that we have a very clean audit, and there was no concerns. So again, Eric, I want to thank you for your presentation. I want to tell you, as part of the audit committee, I'm very pleased to bring our part of this to you. I would like you to know that the audit committee, including, I'd like to also thank our external CPA member, Frank Sinati, which for years I consider our expert, because he is able to ask Derek some of the deeper questions that are a little bit, I'll be honest, beyond myself. So I want to thank him for his input as well. But I would, on behalf of the audit committee, we would like to request that the board receive this motion. May I go ahead and read it?
So what I think we will do, just want to make sure that there's no other questions or comments before we move forward.
That's
so we do have a motion that's part of the board package. So I will read the motion, in that the 2022-2023 financial statements be approved. Now, Trustee Hunter, would you like to move that?
I would like to move that very much.
We need to have a seconder for that, too. Seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Okay. Trustee Gibson, did you have a point of order here?
No, it's not a point of order. I was just making a suggestion. As I said, I didn't know if it's my place to amend a motion that's come from a committee that I'm not a member of and can't attend the meetings. So I just wanted to make the suggestion. I'm happy to move the amendment if that's what's required.
Okay, so
just wanted to add the words recommended by the audit committee.
Okay, thank you. So where we're at right now, we're dealing with the motion that is for us. If you would like to make that motion to amend, there's a couple of ways that we can handle it. We could either do a formal written motion, or if all the trustees agree as a friendly amendment, we will look at that too. But that has to be, everybody has to agree to it. So what would the friendly amendment look like, wording wise?
Well, Chair Farrow, I'm just suggesting, as is past practice, that we add that the audit committee has recommended this. They are required under their duties, under the regulation, to either recommend or not recommend. So if they are recommending, it should be in the motion, is my view. But
so how do the rest of the trustees feel as a friendly amendment? So something like that, the 2022-2023 financial statements as recommended by the audit committee be approved by the board? Trustee Cosmerly.
I would suggest we just stay with the motion as it's presented on the paper.
Okay, so that...
And the reason I say that is this agenda came out before our audit committee. So at the time, we would not have been able to give any approval. So I would suggest we just stay with that.
Okay, so we don't have a friendly amendment, therefore we will deal with the motion that's presented to us. We have a mover, which is Trustee Hunda, seconded by Trustee Cosmerly. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll move to the poll vote, Director.
Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison?
In favor.
Trustee Dewar?
In favor.
Trustee Farrow?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
opposed?
Trustee Hunda?
In favor.
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor.
Trustee McCauley?
In favor.
Student Trustee Green?
In favor.
Student Trustee Jacko Sywink? Motion's carried.
Thank you, Director. Moving on now to new business. once again, we want to say extreme thank you to Derek for all your help. I know you will want to move on and not be riveted by the rest of the board meeting tonight. So thank you so much for your great work and your help and your detailed presentation tonight, Derek.
You're quite welcome, and thank you, everyone. Take care.
So the next section of our agenda is new business. Section F, number 1 is Director's Annual Report. Director Bourchette.
Thank you, Chair Farrow and trustees. I'm pleased to present the Rainbow District School Board's 2022-23 Annual Report, which provides an overview of the key work that we've accomplished in the past school year. As you know, literacy and numeracy are the foundation for all learning. Our cover photos, therefore, focus on reading, writing, and math. The student drawing on a whiteboard is Fadila Oman, who is a junior kindergarten student at Queen Elizabeth II Public School. The student reading the book is Matthew Jurgis in grade 10 at Chelmsford Valley District Composite School. The student writing on a small whiteboard is Alan Han in grade 2 at McLeod Public School. And the student who is counting is Brooklyn McMillan in grade 4 at Levac Public School. What I like best about these photos is the level of concentration they display. The students are obviously very engaged. As they progress through the grades, they'll continue to grow in their learning. On page 2, you see building confidence, certainly part of the mission statement that we adopted together by the board, which reads, "Together we prepare students to become lifelong learners, achieving their full potential as confident, caring members of society." The mission reflects the board's vision, inspiring success for all students by reaching minds and touching hearts. The values that we model in Rainbow Schools are guided by the 7 grandfather teachings of humility, bravery, honesty, wisdom, truth, respect, and love, and as recommended by elders, braided together with resilience, equity, and community. And finally, our strategic directions have 6 priorities: student success and achievement, truth and reconciliation, literacy and numeracy, mental health and well-being, environmental education and sustainability, and equity and inclusive education. As you see in the table of contents, this annual report provides some examples of how we're meeting the priorities. On page 3, in your governance role of trustees, you'll see you've charted that path forward for our staff with intention. I commend all trustees for your leadership, guidance, and dedication. Your clear direction has enabled us to focus on what matters most to this board and the communities that we serve in Sudbury, Espanola, and Manitoulin Island. Following the municipal election in the fall of 2022, we welcome new trustees who joined returning trustees. In this annual report, we've included an overview of the Board of Trustees that reflects the organizational structure approved at the last board meeting. This includes our newest trustee, Mr. Alex McCauley, who recently joined the board. We also acknowledge the passing of Trustee Dina Morrison, who served this board with distinction since its inception. She left a rich legacy that will continue in the scholarship fund that has been established in her memory. Included on page 3 are the student trustees who were selected in the spring of 2023 and sworn into their respective roles at the start of the current school year. Also on this page, we have listed the Executive Council. We've welcomed 2 new superintendents, Superintendent Adam Gilbo and Maureen McNamara. It's a privilege to work with them. And it's also a privilege to work with the board and the students in Sudbury, Espanola, and Manitoulin. Going to page 4, you see Bob Clement. Trustee Bob Clement served as second term as chair of the board in the last school year. At the time, Chair Clement thanked parents and guardians for working with us by supporting learning at home and getting involved in their child's schooling. He acknowledged that parents are important partners in the learning process, and he also commends our community partners for their contribution. They enhance what we do in the classroom and expose students to broader experiences. While each priority supports a specific focus, together they combine to ensure that students receive a well-rounded and well-grounded education with life skills and learning skills. Chair Clement states that we want all students to see themselves as capable and contributing members of society as they grow through the grades, graduate, and make their way into the world of work, apprenticeship, independent living, college, or university. The 2022-23 school year represents the first year of implementation of strategic directions. In this report, you will hear the voices of staff and you'll see the images of students as we share our progress through the powerful tool of storytelling. The narrative and visuals reflect our pride in our students and our staff, as well as our promise to the communities that we serve. In Rainbow Schools, we're grateful for the talented instructional leaders, educators, and support staff who understand the importance of their role, value their work, and recognize that what they do matters. In fulfilling our core function, our educators demonstrate their commitment to students in the rich lessons they provide. A focus on high-yield teaching strategies ensures that students build on prior knowledge and gain new concepts. Students also make connections with the world around them through experiential learning opportunities, participation in system-wide events, and demonstrations of their learning through performances, plays, projects, and practices. We're not only grateful for the wonderful staff who work with our students, we're also grateful for our coaches, mentors, and volunteers who support students beyond the regular school day. And as Chair Clement mentioned in his message, we encourage parents and guardians to join with us as partners in education. We certainly appreciate their support. Moving to page 6, we see that during this past school year, we worked diligently to open the new LaSalle Secondary School, which opened its first cohort of students in September. Students, parents, and guardians, and members of the community had an opportunity to visit the school on August 31st during an open house. I'd like to thank the founding principal, Jim Watchnuk, and vice principal, Kristen Pichette, and the entire staff at LaSalle Elementary School for creating a school culture that is warm and welcoming. You'll also see the final phase of school renewal in Espanola move forward in the past school year with support from the Ministry of Education. Work is progressing on a soccer field and basketball courts to promote healthy, active living. The trees on the south side corner of the area will provide an ideal area for a future green space as well. We dedicated a page to the topics explored during the Parent Involvement Committee meetings that were held last school year. Parent involvement improves student achievement. It is important, therefore, that our parents and guardians continue to have regular opportunities to be engaged in our schools, and that includes presentations on timely topics so they can support their children at home. Rainbow District School Board held also its first ever career fair on April 1st, despite a very stormy day. Ironically, on April 1st, we had a great turnout of candidates interested in filling a wide variety of positions. As you know, our Human Resource Department works diligently throughout the year to attract qualified people to join our team at the Center of Education and in our schools. Beginning on page 8, we move into the priorities adopted and approved by the board in strategic directions. We allocated in our report 6 pages of content or 3 double-page spreads to each priority. This report is not intended to be a running list of all the activities that occurred in schools. It does, however, provide concrete examples of our efforts. While each priority stands on its own to make our work purposeful and meaningful, they do not always operate in isolation. And you'll see how the priorities are interconnected as the stories unfold. We'll begin with our annual report with mental health and well-being, which provides the readiness for learning. In the past school year, we piloted a new character development program in 12 schools. Dare to Care creates positive school cultures, with modules for students, professional learning for staff, and resources for parents and guardians. Dare to Care engages the entire school community to work towards a common goal, transforming the silent majority into the caring majority. Engaging the whole school community is important in shifting the overall culture of the school, and we want all schools to be places of learning where students feel safe in warm, welcoming environments. As we know, when students have a strong sense of belonging at school, they are more ready to achieve their full potential. On page 9, you'll see the Dare to Care learning modules listed by grade. You'll see a number of topics supporting our work in equity and inclusion that tie directly with our expectations in the Code of Conduct. You also see that in September 2022, we celebrated the 5th anniversary of Stand Up Against Bullying Day by wearing pink. As Chair Clement states, wearing pink has become a tangible symbol of our collective commitment to safe schools. On page 10, we moved with a story on the mind-body connection. We all know how important physical education is to mental health and our overall well-being. With this in mind, we traveled to the Lancer Dome, where coordinator Matt Coots worked with his students throughout the school year. It was the first full year that students had the opportunity to visit the Dome, which has become a very popular place for community use after school as well, and on weekends. Mr. Coots also visited schools throughout the year and continues to do so to work with teachers and students to build capacity in physical education and physical literacy. Physical literacy involves more than participating in an activity. It is the motivation, confidence, competence, knowledge, and understanding to value and take responsibility for engagement in physical activities for life. On the next page, we meet Scott Hamill, who was the first keynote speaker at the Student Senate Conference last spring. His presentation combined entertainment with education. He used the medium of magic to deliver his message. And on the next page, we see a series of images from Mr. Hamill as he escapes from a straitjacket. Throughout his presentation, he focused on goals, focus, leadership, and the greater good. He inspired students to be difference makers, noting that society grows best for citizens who plant trees for shade where they will never sit. We began our annual report with mental health and well-being because it's so important to student success. But we now move to another priority, which is critical to student success, literacy and numeracy, which provide the foundation for all learning. We begin with a story on the Literacy Lighthouse Initiative. In the last school year, we had 4 classrooms that served as beacons to build confident readers. Teachers were able to visit model classrooms in grades 1 to 3 at Adamsdale Public School, Queen Elizabeth Public School, Redwood Acres Public School, and C.R. Judd Public School. 2 literacy coaches provided ongoing support to teachers. Our superintendent, Leslie Fisher, said, "This is an exciting model because it lays the foundation for sharing and promoting best practices within the targeted schools and applying that knowledge in the system as a whole." And added, providing a live demonstration of effective literacy instruction and allowing other teachers to observe and receive professional support to bring these practices back to their own classrooms improves literacy outcomes for all students. Page 15 shows response to the Lighthouse classrooms have been very positive. Teachers witnessed growth in their students. The Lighthouse classroom teacher at Adamsdale Public School expressed it well when she said, "Watching the students grow as readers and writers and become confident in their learning is truly remarkable." The teacher also shared, "The other day, I had a student close one of the decodable readers and say, 'Wow, I just read my first book.'" On the next page, we meet up with the somewhat world famous, but certainly locally famous, Kindness Ninjas at Larchwood Public School. They raised money for animals through the sale of a book of animal poetry that they authored and illustrated. In addition to their classroom teacher, they were mentioned by community artist Laura Lee Gillard and poet laureate Kyle Hemming, who said, I hope the students are happy that something they created is helping the greater good. We often create art for ourselves, but when we do something that helps others, it fills our heart." Certainly very well said. And by the way, this book was a bestseller. It sold out within a week. In our next feature, we highlight Math Up. It is a digital platform that supports teachers in implementing the math curriculum, which was revised in 2020. Math Up was developed by Dr. Marion Small, who is one of the most influential math educators in Canada. It addresses all of the math curriculum and the scope of teacher practice. It includes the components of strong instruction, assessment that identifies gaps, and built-in professional learning. Math topics are sequenced to ensure that prerequisite skills and concepts are considered before new learning is introduced. Math Up focuses on a learning goal and follows a 3-part structure. Minds On, an open question that engages students and activates their prior knowledge to prepare them for the lesson. Action, a task that encourages students to use critical thinking skills to solve problems cooperatively. And Consolidation. This brings students together as their learning community to share and analyze solutions, justify their answers, and ask questions to clarify any misconceptions. On page 20, we feature the 2022-2023 EQAO results. As you know, we presented these results to you earlier this fall as trustees. You will recall that Rainbow District School Board had the highest results among English language schools in Northeastern Ontario in primary reading, primary writing, primary math, as well as junior reading and junior math. This is a testament to our school administrators, our instructional leaders, and our dedicated and talented school educators and support staff. So you see the results over the past 5 years. And as you know, we're not resting on our laurels. We want to continue to do our very best for students. And as a result, we're being very intentional in our practice with daily reading, writing, and math as we target continuous improvement. We move to student success and achievement. The lead story for this priority celebrates the pioneers of Project Search HSN. Project Search HSN is a transition to work program that combines classroom instruction with hands-on training. Students in their final year of high school develop skills required to entry-level employment. In its first year locally, 10 students from Rainbow engaged in 3 internships at various departments at Health Sciences North. Their placements, which were 8 to 10 weeks in duration, were determined by student interest and skill. Internships were guided by skilled, experienced staff, including a teacher from Rainbow District School Board and 2 skilled trainers from March of Dimes Canada. Many of the students in Project Search HSN actually secured employment at the hospital or in other sectors in the community, and it's a shining example of how partnerships benefit students. Still in student success and achievement, we say hands up for hands-on in high tech. 3 secondary schools received new machine equipment from the Canadian Tooling and Mining Association and the Ontario Council for Technology Education. Close to $162,000 in equipment was installed at Lively District Secondary School and LaSalle Secondary School early in the spring, and approximately $80,000 was allocated to Manitoulin Secondary School, and in addition another $50,000 was provided to Lively for ongoing upgrades. This is another example of the power of partnerships. Our goal is to expose high school students to technology at an early age to engage their interest in a career within our industry. And that's a quote from the executive director of the Canadian Tooling and Machining Association, who added, "Not only does this expose students to newer technology at an early age, it also gives teachers up-to-date equipment to implement in their classrooms." This new equipment is part of the Career Ready with CTMA, expanding opportunities provided funding by the Government of Canada and the Government of Ontario, and it will go a long way in preparing students to consider trades as a viable career option. We now turn our attention to 2 of our schools competing on the international stage, Llewellyn Park Secondary School and Manitoulin Secondary School. What a proud moment for both schools, the students, participants, their families, parents, guardians, mentors, and sponsors. As Chair Clement said, having an opportunity to compete with the best robotics teams in the world is quite an honor. It speaks volumes about the teams, their vision, their creativity, and their skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. On the next page, we reintroduce ourselves to Lance, the LaSalle Secondary School's newest Lancer, who, as you recall, drew quite a bit of attention. We also visit R.L. Beatty, where robotics has become the 4th R. The school's robotics club captured the interest of many students who worked with teachers from Llewellyn Park. R.L. Beatty also has a competitive team, the Beatty Bots, and they captured first place for an Innovation Project Award and Alliance Challenge Award at a provincial event. On page 28, Environmental Education and Sustainability, we highlight our ongoing success in eco-schools. Many of our schools increased their level of certification last school year. That's certainly a goal for this year as well. And eco-schools provides benchmarks for environmental learning and action in Canada, instilling in students the proficiencies, perspectives, and practices to help students become environmentally responsible inside and outside of the classroom. And trustees, I can tell you as a parent, a proud parent of Rainbow students, I've seen the results of this firsthand. Monthly environmental challenges, which include Indigenous components, have proven to be an effective way to broaden the scope of education and environmental action. On page 31, throughout the school year, we ask ourselves, what will next month's challenge be? Our participation in eco-schools is at the heart of the board's climate change action plan as we do our part to address one of the most defining issues of our time. Eco-school certification recognizes the achievement in 6 key areas: ecological literacy, energy conservation, environmental stewardship, school ground greening, teamwork and leadership, and waste minimalization. On page 32, we move to Manitoulin Island, where 2 schools, Central Manitoulin Public School and Manitoulin Secondary School, received grants to create green spaces dedicated to reconciliation. The David Suzuki Foundation is supporting the projects in partnership with the National Healing Forest Initiative. The Central Manitoulin Public School Wellness Orchard in Mindemoya encompasses a fruit orchard and a garden that provide opportunities for students to connect with nature. The Kinowea Manoia, place where people become well in mind and spirit, Healing Forest, occupies a quiet space in Manitoulin Secondary School in Chaging. From these reconciliation projects, we focus greater attention on our healing relationship with Mother Earth. We also had the pleasure of welcoming Robin Wall-Kimmerer, the author of Braiding Sweetgrass, for a system-wide virtual presentation last spring. She shared her Indigenous perspective about the importance of the honorable harvest in supporting environmental responsibility and demonstrating gratitude for our planet, Mother Earth, Shikagmakwe. The presentation served as a prelude to Rainbow District School Board's first school community traditional harvest celebration. And that brings us to our standalone priority on truth and reconciliation. Earlier this fall, schools held fall fairs and participated in the traditional harvest celebration held at Lockerbie Composite School in October. This system-wide event was a result of an exciting collaboration between the Environmental Education Committee and the board's Indigenous Education Department throughout last school year. The creativity on display was absolutely amazing as students expressed their knowledge using various mediums. The traditional harvest celebration brought environmental sustainability and Indigenous education together in a showcase of student learning. Members of the local Indigenous community participated in the celebration, sharing their culture and teachings. And we're so grateful to all participants who participated in this event and made it such a great success. Rainbow Schools also observed the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th, 2022. In what's become a tradition, a proud tradition, a sunrise ceremony was held at the Center of Education. The school day got off to a solemn start as students and staff in all schools observed a moment of silence to honor survivors of residential schools, their families and communities, and remember the children who never came home. Flags were lowered to half-mast. The National Day for Truth and Reconciliation was a day of reflection and learning as our staff and students continue on our journey and the path towards reconciliation. We'd like to thank the elders who shared their experiences with us, and we also acknowledge the intergenerational trauma that continues to this day. Students in Rainbow Schools are learning about the 7 grandfather teachings, thanks to the good work going in our Indigenous Education Department in partnership with our community. And these are the values adopted by Rainbow District School Board. While the 7 grandfather teachings encompass values, they are sacred teachings, and we recognize that, and they have been part of the Indigenous culture from time immemorial. In the 2022-23 school year, Indigenous Education developed and provided a monthly resource throughout the board that offered an overview of the specific teaching and further considerations for educators and administrators how to integrate this learning into schools and classrooms. Work has begun on developing an Indigenous Education digital hub to house resources for learning, including a series of videos on the 7 grandfather teachings. The First Nations community is being fully engaged in this work in order to reflect the voices, knowledge, and stories of First Nations and Indigenous peoples within the classrooms to ensure the work is meaningful and intentional and that it adheres to cultural protocols. On page 39, Indigenous artist Michael Sywink and his apprentice worked with students at A.B. Ellis Public School to create a mural reflecting the 7 grandfather teachings. The mural, entitled The Values in Life, creates a welcoming space in the school's main entrance. Also on this page, we include some letters that students wrote to Mother Earth as they were learning about the winter solstice. On page 40, we turn our attention to equity inclusive education. As you know, we administered a student census and a workforce census. The following extensive consultations with stakeholders, including their respective steering committees. Also, organizations shared their purpose, their experiences with us, in order to build understanding of who they are and what they do. The goal was to develop a list of resources, and we recognize that education provides a path forward. On the next page, we meet a spirited student from Marks Day Public School who does not let her diagnosis define her. Avery has OI, which is osteogenesis imperfecta, which causes her bones to break easily. Participating in Wishbone Day gave Marks Day Public School an opportunity to celebrate Avery while building awareness. Principal Kate McKenzie said, Avery lets us know it's okay to have OI. In the process, she models one of life's greatest lessons. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. On page 42, Rainbow District School Board hosted its annual symposium created at enhancing school-based support for students who are two-spirited, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning, and intersex, as well as students with families and family members in these communities. The Free to Be Me conference for grades 7 and 8 and for grade 9 to 12 has become a tradition. Students attend workshops and hear inspiring guest speakers. Our students also participate in the Classroom Closet, which is hosted by the community. The Equity and Inclusive Education Committee and Mental Health Team creates safe space stickers. On page 43, safe space is an indicator that a classroom or a school is physically and emotionally safe for students. And it signals to youth that we're committed to creating a safer school climate for all students. The next feature focuses on the Challenge Meet, which is arguably one of the best days of the school year. When John Roberts retired from the Rainbow District School Board back in 2003, he was inspired to start a track and field event for students with exceptionalities. As the years passed, the Challenge Meet grew in scope and size. Last year in June, there was 440 students participating from 26 schools. This is quite a success story. To mark the 20th anniversary, John Roberts received a commemorative banner with heartfelt thanks to our founder, without whose inspiration this event would never have started. The event has been supported by many retired educators and current staff who welcome the opportunity to cheer on our exceptional athletes. And I think that the board office is almost empty on that day as so many staff, especially from the special education department, attend, and certainly all of executive council. On our next section, we pay tribute to the recipients of board awards. We recognize employees and trustees who have achieved 35 years of service and 25 years of service. We welcome the opportunity to feature dedicated employees and community partners in this awards booklet that was distributed last spring. On page 47, together they reflect the energy, experience, and enthusiasm that make Rainbow Schools great places to learn. On page 48, in addition to our award recipients, there are many reasons to celebrate throughout the school year. One such example is Rainbow District School Board was acknowledged for having reached $1 million in donations since the start of the Terry Fox Run. Rainbow Schools make an immense contribution to area food banks. Matt's Plumbing donated turkeys for families. LaSalle Secondary School continued to support Finlandia. And 2 educators were honored by the Learning Disabilities Association of Sudbury. On page 49, local performers joined students, music students, to be more specific, to celebrate the 15th anniversary of the Joan Mantle Music Trust. Charlotte Leonard was awarded the Joan Mantle Music Trust Community Award, and student trustee from last year, Jocelyn Kunze, received provincial and national honors, including very impressive scholarships. On page 50, students at Chelmsford Valley District Composite School knit blankets for patients with cancer. 3 students participated in Chad Canada Valley program, which is very prestigious. One of our scientists earned medals at the national level, and schools also garnered top honors at the mock trial competition. On page 51, we see that our very own trustee Doreen Dewar received the very prestigious Dr. Harry Paikin Award of Merit from the Ontario Public School Boards Association. Trustee Judy Hunda received an award as well for 25 years of dedication and service to public education. Technology teacher Chris Dennis of Lively District Secondary School was honored provincially for his contribution to the trades. And you also see that Cambrian College created a beautiful mural called Connection that was unveiled at Lockerbie Composite School. Page 52, it's quite amazing that 2 teens were recognized for having saved a life, thanks to the CPR skills they learned in school, and young musicians earned high marks at Music Fest Canada. Page 53, we just had a chance to meet some of these athletes, but LaSalle's senior boys volleyball team won the provincial championship under the guidance of teacher and coach Dale Beausoleil. A number of other students and teams earned provincial honors in cross-country running, Nordic skiing, alpine skiing, and swimming. And A grade 12 student at LaSalle Secondary School has his own cookbook published thanks to Make-A-Wish Canada. It's become our practice to include an overview of the current budget in the annual report. Trustees approved the budget in the previous school year. The budget is important because it provides the financial framework to enable the board to achieve its vision, mission, and values and priorities and strategic direction. It was calculated on a projected enrollment of 13,810 students. As shared at the last board meeting, Rainbow District School Board now had 14,285 students on October of this school year. The public can access the board's financial statements at rainbowschools.ca. On page 55, we provide some background information on how the budget is developed. The process is very inclusive. We seek input long before budget discussions begin. On page 56, our staff complement has increased somewhat this year. Our facilities have decreased in the elementary panel as we consolidated schools in New Sudbury into the new LaSalle Elementary School. On page 57, we've included pie charts on sources of revenue and expenses by object and by function. This provides a snapshot of what goes where, how the board allocates its budget to have the greatest impact on the classroom. From pages 58 to 63, we recognize our Ontario scholars, quite an impressive list, and our scholar recipients for the last school year. We congratulate all of our graduates. On page 64, we've included a current directory on the back cover for ease of reference. And with this, trustees, I conclude my presentation to you on the 2022-23 annual report. As you know, school boards are required to produce an annual report in accordance with the Education Act. And this report is proudly shared with the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Education, and our many partners in the communities that we serve. Our primary partners are, of course, the parents and guardians who have entrusted us with the education of their children. Annual reports are also posted on the website under broader public sector reports in the About Us section. Once we've completed the accessible version of this report, it will be available online. We'll have a news release to advise the public. We had a very productive year filled with pride and promise as we completed the first year of implementation of strategic directions. The annual report is a testament to the clear guidance provided by this board. Your leadership through governance enables us to remain focused and purposeful in our work. The annual report highlights the commitment and honors the dedication of our administrators, educators, and support staff as we all work to serve our students. The annual report recognizes our partners in education, our parents and guardians who support learning in the home, our coaches, mentors, volunteers who help students get exposure to a world of opportunities, whether it be in sports, music, drama, dance, robotics, clubs, and so much more. And finally, the annual report celebrates the student success. Our students continue to shine. In his message at the beginning of the annual report, Chair Clement said, "Being responsible for the education of the next generation is a huge trust, one we embrace with complete confidence. Our academic programs, hands-on experiences, and extracurricular activities give students every opportunity to achieve their full potential." And I completely agree. I'm proud to serve as your Director of Education, and I'm very proud to work with our dedicated staff, including Executive Council. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank Nicole Charette and Jen Bada for the incredible work. As you know, the annual report has always been well received by trustees, and as you can see, there is a tremendous amount of work to produce such an amazing document that I would say in many cases is the envy of other areas of the province. So thank you to Nicole Charette and Jen Bada, and to all the contributors who made that happen. And at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you, Director Bourget. Questions, comments? Trustee McCauley.
I have a comment. That's an excellent annual report. I am proud to sit here and listen to it and reflect on what must have been a monumental task to put it all together. And you're to be commended for the fine work that you and your staff have done to do it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Online, I see Trustee Corbier Addison. Go ahead.
I just wanted to express my gratitude for the hard work that everyone has put forward in the board, and especially with this report. It's always so nice to hear it. This is my second time hearing it, and I'm always flabbergasted at the amount of work that goes into it. Thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone further? Trustee Cosmerly.
I'll just add my congratulations. It's always so excellent to hear what's going on in our schools and what's going on in our communities. So thank you to all of you. And one thing I do want to add, I recently ran into a senior manager from Ontario March of Dimes. Everyone from Project Search first year got jobs.
Incredible. That's fantastic news. Anyone further? Any other comments? I'll just, Trustee Hunda?
Just really quickly, love this time of year. I love this report. I have them back for as long as we've done them, which Nicole has been behind all of them. Again, Nicole, you and Jennifer are amazing. It's an incredible amount of work, but honestly, as a trustee and particularly over this many years, it is wonderful to have them there and to be able to go back and look at them and see where we were and where we've come. And honestly, we sometimes forget to celebrate all the good things, and this is that one time a year where we get to put it all in one very wonderfully put together capsule. So I want to thank you very much for all of that, and of course I want to thank all of our staff, from you, Director Bourget, our administration, all the way down, because without that, none of this would be possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hunda. And just to add my own thanks to everybody that's involved. I mean, it's just immensely proud to be to be part of such a wonderful organization. So thank you to each and every one of you for the great job that you've done over the past year. So we'll now continue with our agenda. We're on section F, number 2, and our topic is insurance renewal. And I'll turn the mic over to Superintendent Guilbeault to chat about our insurance.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. In your package, you will see the Osmium Premium invoice for 2024, including the breakdown of each coverage and the respective cost. For most coverages, we saw minimal increases of around 3%, reflecting market increases. Our boiler equipment coverage saw an increase of 10%, while our auto coverage decreased by 5%. The most significant change is on our property coverage, where we have an increase of over 20%. In addition to market increases related to inflationary price increases on repairs and supply chain issues, plus claims across all Ontario boards, our board's claim history is a factor as well, based on claims over the last few years. Most recently, Alexander had an incident during last winter that required us to replace the entire gym floor and remediation work to walls and ceilings. This premium also includes, to note, for coverage for the new school, LaSalle Elementary, as well as the surplus schools that remain under our control until such time that they are disposed of. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair Farrell, for the motion.
Thank you, Superintendent Guilbeault. So we have a motion that the 2024 renewal of insurance for liability, property, crime, and fleet automobile with the Ontario School Boards Insurance Exchange for $353,411.96 be approved. We need a mover. That's moved by Trustee McCauley. Seconder, please. Seconded by Trustee Dewar. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, we will move to the vote.
Sorry.
I see you now, Trustee Clement. Go ahead, please.
Just a quick question to Superintendent Guilbeault. In these reports from year to year, it was often mentioned where we'll get a rebate. Was there any such rebate this time?
Through you, Chair Farrell. Yes, there was. We mentioned it, I believe, at a meeting or two ago. The refund was just over $32,000, and that we were repurposing those funds to increase our network security efforts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Anything further? Okay, we will move to the vote.
Trustee Clement?
Oh, in favor. Sorry.
Trustee Corbier-Addison?
In favor.
Trustee Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Farrell?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor?
Trustee McCauley?
In favor?
Student Trustee Green?
In favor.
And Student Trustee Jacko Sywink?
In favor.
Motion's carried.
Thank you, Director. Moving to budget development process. And once again, Superintendent Guilbeault.
Thank you again, Chair Farrell. Within the package you received, you will find a copy of our budget development process. This follows the same format as previous years. This month, we will engage with the educational community on budget considerations for the next school year, with replies due at the end of January. We anticipate receiving information on the GSNs by the end of March, which will allow us to prepare the budget for the 2024-25 school year. An overview will be presented at the first board meeting in June for the purpose of review and recommendation, with the final approval coming at the end of June so that we can submit to the ministry in July. And with that, I'll pass it back to Chair Farrell for a motion.
So we have a motion to consider, and the motion states that the 2024-2025 budget development process be approved. We need a mover. Moved by Judy Hunda, or Trustee Hunda, sorry. Seconder? Seconded by Trustee Corbier-Addison. Any questions? Seeing no questions, we will move to the vote. Director Bourget?
Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Corbier-Addison?
In favor?
Trustee Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Farrell?
In favor.
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Hunda?
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly?
In favor?
Trustee McCauley?
In favor?
Student Trustee Green?
In favor.
Student Trustee Jacko Sywink?
In favor.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, Director Bourget. Next item on our agenda is notice of absence, and we did receive tonight regrets from Trustee DeBoski. Next item on our agenda is Director's remarks. Director Bourget.
Thank you, Chair Farrell. After a comprehensive presentation, I'll keep my remarks brief, but I would like to start by thanking Superintendent Guilbeault and Manager Nancy Chiquetto and the entire Finance Department team for the excellent work in preparing for the audit. The clean audit report is the highest level of assurance, and it's a testament to the good practices and work that's being done. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the audit committee for all their work. I'd also like to thank Principal Brenda Carr for assembling a team of volunteer staff from Rainbow, and thank the staff who came out to volunteer at the Sudbury Lions MCTV Christmas Telethon. We also have a current food drive underway, so I'd like to thank Vice Principals Brad Smith of Lockerbie and Andrew Kendall of Espanola for their work on the Kids Fair, Caring for Kids Edgar Burton food drive, because that is ongoing as we speak. And I also like to thank Principal James Norrie, who held a very successful Coats for Kids campaign. It's obvious, in the annual report and events like this, because there's too many to mention in any report, but I wanted to highlight these. It's just another example of how Rainbow District School Board cares about our communities, and I am personally very grateful to all staff, students, and volunteers for their efforts to provide support and show kindness over the holiday season. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Trustees, Executive Council, our school administrators and teachers, and all support staff for the incredible work that you do each and every day in support of students and student learning. As you know, there are many events in the upcoming weeks for students and staff to enjoy, and there's a very well-earned break that's just around the corner. And as this is our last regular board meeting of 2023, I wish everyone a safe, restful, fun-filled holiday season. We look forward to working with you and continuing our good work on behalf of students and families in the new year. And for the trustees who aren't here, we do have something in the mail, although there's a sweet treat or two stuck to the card that I gave you, but we'll figure out how to get that to you before the holiday season. So with that, I just want to say thank you all for your ongoing support. It means very much to all of us who are working so hard on behalf of students in partnership with you.
Once again, thank you, Director Bourget, for your remarks. We're still under new business, number 6. We're moving to other items, and the report from our Ontario School Board Directors, School Board Association Director, Trustee Cosmerly.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. I attended a Board of Directors meeting in Toronto on November 26th, followed by OPSPA Advocacy Day, November 27th at Queen's Park. While the majority of the Board of Directors meeting focused on preparing for the following day's events, there were some other important items of business that were discussed that I would like to share with you. First, OPSPA has been approved to provide special training to board chairs. However, this training will be delivered the day after PES ends rather than during PES. There is still no word from the Ministry of Education about changes to their regulation on electronic meetings or about a consultation on trustee code of conduct. OPSPA is encouraging trustees to complete 2 online surveys, both of which may be accessed directly from Jennifer McIntyre's November 24th provincial update email. The first survey is a pre-budget survey to identify what you believe should be the government's priorities in the next budget. This survey is open until January 31st. The second survey is put out by the Association for Municipalities of Ontario and is intended to help AMO understand why people ran for election in the last municipal school board elections. I couldn't find a closing date for this survey. Neither survey takes more than a few minutes to complete. Nominations open in December for 6 OPSPA awards, and as you will recall, three trustees from our board won OPSPA awards earlier this year. OPSPA is also offering 2 leadership scholarships for students, valued at $500 each. The Board of Directors approved a new legal action fund, previously known as the Legal Defense Fund, policy. OPSPA is now seeking feedback from trustees on a new draft policy on restricted reserves. I'll send you the draft policy after tonight's meeting. Written feedback may be submitted directly to Lisa Reinhardt at OPSPA by February 12th, and a final draft of the policy will be presented to the Board of Directors for approval on March the 2nd. We had a good discussion about artificial intelligence. We were told it's here and it's not going away. Trustees are encouraged to learn more about it. Toronto District School Board recently ran a workshop for parents on AI, and apparently there are some excellent sites online if you want to do some research yourselves. The Canadian School Board Association recently completed a research project on student success in those provinces where there are no elected trustees. The report is being reviewed by OPSPA at this time. However, an early read shows that it supports the need for locally elected school board trustees. On November 27th, I attended Advocacy Day at Queen's Park. It's so much fun. Where with other trustees, I attended question period and met with 2 of our area MPPs, MPP Jamie West for Sudbury and MPP Michael Mantha for Algoma Manitoulin. The issues we discussed included concerns about special education funding and Indigenous education funding, the proposed accelerated apprenticeship program, and student transportation. Because I had to leave late in the afternoon, Chair David Farrow attended the more informal meet and greet session held that evening. This was my 2nd time attending Advocacy Day, and as before, it was time well spent. I thank the MPPs for their time and their attention. That's the end of my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cosmo. Any questions? I would just add it was a wonderful meet and greet that the association put on that evening. Got a chance to meet some folks that are involved provincially, and it was a really good session. So thank you for allowing me to attend on your behalf. It was great. Next item on the agenda is Student Trustees Report, and I think we'll move online first of all today for Trustee Jocko Sywink.
Actually,
I don't want to throw you under the bus. If it's okay, it's okay. We can move to Trustee Green if that's okay.
Yeah. Trustee Green had a speech prepared that was on behalf of kind of both of us.
Super. Thank you so much for clarifying for me, Trustee Green.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. So our Diabetes Awareness Month initiative was carried out in many of our secondary schools. Spreading awareness about diabetes and what students with type 1 diabetes go through on a daily basis is very important. And I want to publicly thank our senators for spreading awareness in their schools. A lot of our schools put it on their announcements, just sharing facts and information and debunking myths. So I wanted to publicly thank them for that. One of our student senators, Alexandra Wilson Zagil, gave a presentation to our senators about women in STEM fields. She has researched how and why we see many STEM fields being male-dominated. To counter this, Alex, on her own time over the summer, made posters and worked with elementary school teachers on Manitoulin Island to create assignments and lesson plans about how to push our female learners of the board to join and feel confident in STEM spaces. We had our discussion cut a bit short, but I can't wait to share with you all what we do with Alex's research. We've continued to work on our year-end conference, so I hope to give you more updates on that. And I wanted to express how proud I am of all of our senators. It takes a lot of courage to come to this boardroom as grade 10, 11, and 12 students, and they are doing an incredible job. They all feel so confident voicing their opinions and speaking on behalf of their students. And I just wanted to express to you all how proud I am of all of them. So thank you. If I'll open the floor up to questions.
Thank you, Trustee Green. Any questions? Trustee Hunda.
Just a comment. We're really proud of you too. Sorry, you're doing a remarkable job. Honestly, I have to tell you, it's one of the highlights of my life. I so enjoy this committee and these kids, and year after year, I see such amazing children sitting in these chairs that we're sitting in here, and you know, from this group, as Sawyer's mentioning, has gotten comfortable incredibly early, and it's so engaging and pleasing to me to see that they all have voices, because sometimes it takes, you know, a while, sometimes half a year before some of them will speak up. But that's I want to give due diligence to Sonia and to Sawyer, because it's their comfort level that has made them all feel like they can speak up whatever's on their mind and speak proud and accepted. And I think that they're doing an incredible job. Honestly, last night's meeting was, as Superintendent McNamara can tell you, it was, we could have gone on probably for another hour or two, but they are very engaging, and I'm very proud of you. Things are going well.
Anything further? Seeing none, next item on your agenda is number 7 under new business, and it's trustee remarks. Trustee Cosmerly.
Thank you, Chair Farrow. In accordance with our board governance bylaw 8.3.2 and 8.8, and further to my written notification to Chair Farrow on December the 1st, 2023, I am hereby notifying the board that I intend to present the following motion at our January regular board meeting. That motion 24-R18, quote, that the Board of Trustees receive an electronic copy of board presentation slide decks made at board meetings, unquote, be rescinded. Thank you. On another note, I'd like to wish my fellow trustees, as well as all Rainbow staff, a joyous, happy, and healthy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Cosmerly. So I think this would be a good time to deal with the notice of motion. Yeah, so we need to actually, we do have to move it. We have to have a mover. Yeah, we've actually looked at the bylaws. Yeah. But
point of order.
Just one second, please, Trustee Gibson. I just wanted to.
No, I'm making a point of order, so you have to rule on the point of order before you continue.
I want to speak to Trustee Cosmerly first, and then I will rule on the point of order. Trustee Cosmerly, you've moved the motion? Okay, you moved the motion?
No. Point of order, she has not.
I haven't moved a motion. I have given notification that I will be moving a motion, so therefore there is no seconder required. There is no discussion. Thank you.
So I just want to check.
Can you please decide on my point of order?
Okay, your point of order, yes.
My point of order is that she has read the notice of motion, so what she's done is correct, and there's no further discussion now until the subsequent meeting in January when we can discuss what she's notified.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. So you need to rule now, Chair Farrow. on the information. I've just
One
made
second,
my
please.
statement.
Okay, so Trustee Gibson, you have a point, your point of order is sustained, and we will deal with the notice of motion at the actual motion and the January 22nd board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Farah.
Any further trustee remarks? Trustee McCauley.
I have one, and it's really just a housekeeping thing, and I've been trying to go through all of my rules and regulations to try to establish everything, but I just have a question. I don't understand why we do a poll vote on each and every motion that comes to the floor. It would seem to me that it would be more expeditious to just call for a majority unless there is a specific reason or a potential challenge, and then it can be ordered accordingly the other way.
Yes, Director Borchard, go ahead.
This is certainly the will of the board. I will share historically, though, that when meetings went to being in person and online, there was a will of the trustees to make sure that because there wasn't a visual show of hands at the board table, that not only the people who may be watching live stream, but for everybody to know that the trustees online had cast a vote as well, because it wouldn't be in plain sight of the live stream. So that was the rationale at the time, but it's certainly the will of the board.
That answers the question for me, because I wasn't sure why we did it, but that makes sense.
Thank you, Trustee McCauley. Any further trustee remarks? Trustee Green?
Okay. I've done a lot of thinking about my position so far as being a student trustee. And when I was coming into this position over the summer and thinking about it, I had a lot of stress about it. But I just wanted to thank everybody on this board and everyone who has helped me so far. Trustee Hunda, thank you so much. Superintendent McNamara, you guys have made this such like an amazing experience for me. So I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank the senators for making it such a fun experience, and I wanted to thank my student trustee Jack Osywink. You guys have made this experience so amazing, and I hope to continue it amazingly.
Perfect. Any further trustee remarks? Trustee Hunda.
Just really quickly, I just want to wish everyone a wonderful, restful, safe, and healthy holiday. Merry Christmas to those that celebrate. I hope that all of you, our admin, all our staff, all our teachers, all our custodians, everyone takes time to relax and recuperate. Although it's a hard thing to do at Christmas, but I hope everyone takes a little bit of time to do that, because we were off and running, it feels to me. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but I'm telling you, I know I need a pause, and I can just imagine those of you that do all the hard work. I want to thank you all for all that you do to our kids. I also want to take a moment, coaches recognize always, but the teachers at this time of year that are working hard to put little concerts together for parents. I don't want us to ever forget how important that is as a mom, as a grandma. Seems like forever, it never ends for me personally, but it means so much to see your little ones get up there on the stage and do their little performances. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my Sawyer over here. What an amazing performance at Sudbury Secondary. I was, as always, totally in awe.
Super job.
That's super job, and it was got a couple of cute little pictures of him and I, which is nice. And again, I will mention the upcoming one at LaSalle on the 21st. That I happen to have a star in. And but I really wish everyone goes out, if you can, to the concerts in your schools. I know that there's again, thank you everyone for puts on the Christmas meals, because we do sometimes forget too that sometimes that meal, not particularly in elementary school, I guess, but that might be the only holiday meal that some of our children are getting. As heartbreaking as that is the truth. And it takes a lot of work to put something like that together. So again, if if you're invited, please attend. If you can help, that's great too. And again, happy holidays for everyone.
Thank you, Trustee Hunda. Trustee Doer.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank everyone at the board office. I continue to have problems with what my children call peasant satellite TV. And everyone has been very helpful. And I thank you. I also want to thank you for staying with me through a kind of difficult illness. But to each and every one of you, and to the amazing staff of Rainbow District School Board, I want to say best wishes for the holidays and into the new year. Thank you very much, each of you.
Thank you, Trustee Doer. Any other further comments from trustees? Seeing none, so I have a few remarks as the chair. So as we head into the festive season, one of the most wonderful times of the year in Rainbow Schools, staff and students are spreading the cheer and the goodwill in many ways. And a list of festive events is posted on the board website. The Parent Involvement Committee will meet next Tuesday, December the 12th. Some schools will share their parent reaching out projects. All parents and guardians are welcome to attend in person in the boardroom or via Google Meet, and the meeting begins at 7 p.m. And grade 8 students and their parents and guardians are invited to the information nights in Rainbow Secondary Schools, which continue this month and into the new year. Confederation Secondary School, in fact, it will be taking place tomorrow night, December 6th at 6 p.m., and Sudbury Secondary School will host an open house on Monday, December the 11th at 6 p.m. In January, we have Llewellyn Park on Thursday, January 11th at 7 p.m., Chelmsford Valley District Composite School on Wednesday, January the 17th at 6 p.m., and Lockerbie Composite School on Thursday, January 18th at 7 p.m. Please mark your calendars and plan to attend. And Manitoulin Secondary School will host its annual awards night on Thursday, December the 21st at 7 p.m. And I'm planning on attending that, as a matter of fact. I'm looking very much forward to being there. And close to $50,000 in awards will be presented to students that evening. We commend the community of Manitoulin for its continued support of students within the Rainbow District School Board. And a friendly reminder that winter break, not that everybody needs to be reminded, but winter break will be upon us very soon. Schools will be closed from December 25th to January 5th, and schools will reopen on Monday, January the 8th. And do you have a child starting school this fall? I guess next fall in 2024. Elementary schools in Sudbury, Espanola, and Manitoulin will host kindergarten information night for families on Wednesday, January 17th at 5:30 p.m. for the English language program, and on Thursday, January 18th at 5:30 for schools offering French immersion and for schools that offer both English and French immersion. And all parents and guardians, and of course the children, are welcome to attend. So it's my great pleasure on behalf of the board that I would like to say and wish, I would like to wish all staff and all students and families, community partners, a safe and a happy. So Section G, we have information and proposals. That's part of the package that was given tonight. There are a couple of pieces of information there for your edification, I guess. So there's a report about the budget process that Superintendent Gilbo has spoken to us tonight, and also under tenders and requests, the tender information from CC McLean is included, and there are no staff communications in that package. Future meetings, Special Education Advisory Committee will be held on December the 6th at 12 p.m. The Parent Involvement Committee, December 12th, at 7 p.m. The Equity and Inclusion Committee will be held on December 14th at 4 p.m. Student Senate meeting, January 8th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. And the Special Education Advisory Committee will be January 10th at 12 p.m. And the Environmental Education Committee meeting, January 10th, 2024 at 3 p.m. And two more, the Equity and Inclusion Committee, Ed Committee will be January 8th at 4 p.m. And of course, our next board meeting is January 23rd at 5 p.m. So without further ado, we need a motion for adjournment. Moved by Trustee Cosmerly, seconded by Trustee Hunda, and we now stand adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.